Hey, what's up guys? I'm here with a Deadlock video. This is a first for my channel, but I want to start making videos on this game. I've been playing it a lot recently, and I have other MOBA experience, so I found this game really fun and interesting, and I just kind of wanted to share something with you guys and give you guys some advice that might actually help you win more games, because as I've played this game more, I've learned things myself that I wasn't doing much to start. So in this video, I just want to talk about items and the importance of actually examining all the items this game has to offer and not just using like the random builds that you might find in the, in the build like finding thing. So let's get started. So right now I'm playing Victor and I can go to public and I can find builds that are performing really well on Victor right now, right? You can see these are top daily builds. That means that is one of the most played, you can see it right here. It's one of the most played builds for this hero in the last 24 hours. I'm not saying that these builds are bad by any means. These builds are probably actually very good. I mean, they're the top used builds for a reason. People are obviously winning with these. You can also see like the dates that these builds were uploaded, so you can tell like if they're recent for this update, um, things like that. So just for as like an example, let me choose this build, right? So this build, like I'm not gonna say whether it's good or bad, but I want you to like look at what's on the screen here. This build's actually a pretty good example of like like a good build to actually copy, but there are a lot of builds that you'll find in this build browser that are basically like best case scenario builds, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. So this build, like I said, is an example of like a build that would actually be pretty good to follow, but I think if you're new, this can be very daunting. And I mean, just look at all these items in these different tiers, and then like, well, when do I buy these items, things like that. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. So here I am at my build. Not to say that my build is better or worse than the other person's build. I'm sure, obviously, it's a great build, but just to kind of show this in a way that I can talk about what I want to talk about. So every character has items that they want to buy that allow them to do what they're good at doing, right? For Victor, for example, this would be items that give you lifesteal, because he wants to have his 3 on as long as possible and it helps him sustain it. Items like defense, because you want to be up in the enemy's face, and just things that boost your spirit damage in general. A lot, like every character has items that they really like Hayes would want bullet damage and fire rate and things like that, right? So you need to find a balance though of getting the items that you want that makes your character OP and items that stop the enemy team's characters. Because what people are going to do is they're going to build to counter you. Whether you like it or not, even if you're not the carry, in quotation marks, of the game, people are going to build against you. So you need to find a balance of getting what you want and getting what stops the enemy from stopping you. A good example of this is you can go Haze and you can build like the most meta build on Haze, right? Like a build that does like the highest DPS and can melt like anything in the game. But if the enemy team has a Moe and Krill and you don't have anything to stop you from getting Moe and Krill ulted, every time you ult, Moe and Krill is going to ult you because he does not like you, and it's going to stop your ult and you're going to die 90% of the time, right? So for in this instance, right, an item like Unstoppable would be very, very good because you can pop this item and then ult, and Moe and Crow can, dance around all over you, and he's not going to be able to ult you. He's not going to be able to stop you, right, for the duration of the effect. This is just one example, and I'm sorry to break it to you, but your meta max DPS build is not going to be good if every time you like want to do what you want to do, you can't because the enemy stops you. It's not going to be a good build. Like, you can do 900 million DPS, but if every time you get close to somebody you die, then you're not doing any damage. So what I'm basically saying is try to find a balance of getting the items that you want that make you strong while not neglecting the counters to your counters. And just as like an example of how this would look in a build, my build is set up in a way that lane, mid, and late are all items that I want. These are the items that in an ideal world I get every single one of them and my character is amazing, right? And you can see if I buy all of these items, we can see how many slots I'll have. So obviously in here I don't have the max slots, but I'll buy all these items. You can see I still have an item slot left, and I also have items that I sell when the game gets later, like high velocity rounds. This item is good in the laning phase, but it's not good after that, so I sell this item. Now I have 2 item slots, right? You want to build that ideally you have at least 2 item slots left over, even after getting everything that you would want to have. That way, you can still get defense items, or you can still get items that counter what counters you. So in this instance, right, these are early defense items. I have it listed out like this. You can do it how you would like to, of course, but I have early defense items. These items are really good, especially these 3. In reactive barrier, please, I beg you, if you don't buy this item, start buying it. If you see more than one character on the enemy team that has CC in like a good quantity, buy this item and thank me later, because you will die a whole lot less. It's really strong, right? So I have slots in my build that I can go this item, right? And then I still have another slot that I can go another item, and extra spirit in my build specifically. If I'm not going to go boundless spirit, I don't need that either, so I can sell that as well and get like 2 more items, right? So my build is very flexible in the way that I can build it. Flexibility in your build is very key to it being strong. Flexibility is way better than maximum DPS, maximum survivability, maximum whatever, because that maximum is only maximum relative to the situation that you're in. It's not going to be good in every situation. So the more slots you have to mess around with, the better your build's going to be. This build, like right now, even without these 2 slots, is a very strong build. Like this character will be very strong with these items. So it does not hurt me to be missing 2 items that are doing something to help me in other ways, right? I'm still going to be doing a lot of damage, and I'm still going to be pretty tanky. Then typically, after the lane phase, you decide, okay, do I want to go into the mid-game items? Or like, you know, like your build might be like after lane, whatever. Like the items that are not optional that come after your lane phase. You decide, like, do you want to go into that, or do you need other optional items? So let's say I went through the laning phase, but I noticed that they have, I don't know, like a Haze, a Moen Krill, a Dynamo, and a Billy on their team. They have a lot of CC, right? Almost always I would go, always I would go reactive barrier against those characters especially, but most games I'm going this or enchanters, they're both just really good. Even on like your characters that you want to do damage with, I would highly suggest getting an item like this because it's really good, right? Then on most characters, unless you're being like the support, and obviously, right, a lot of these rules change based on your role in your team, but if you're not being the support, you probably aren't going a ton of defense, but I would recommend at least 1, right? And then you go into your mid items, right? And then on and on and on. I basically just want to say that your build should not look the same every game, and your build should depend on the situation, right? If I just went this same build and only went lane, mid, and late, if I was facing a Vindicta and I didn't have knockdown and I'm playing Victor, it'd be kind of annoying to kill that Vindicta, right? Because she would just be hovering in the air and I'm Victor. What the hell am I gonna do, bro? It's not gonna work, right? Or like they have a Haze and an Infernus and just a bunch of people that do a lot of DPS and I have no defense. I'm just gonna keep getting blown up and I'm gonna keep dying and I'm gonna be like, this character's OP. What am I supposed to do? What the heck? I have no defense in my build, right? So let me like fill out my build how I would in an average game. So I typically would get up to this point with only having reactive barrier as my defense item because it's just that good. And most of the time as Victor, I'm not really getting shredded that bad. So then, right, I would get around here, like when my slots would be full, I would sell these two items because these are my like laning items or flexible depending on what I'm building. And then here's where my build, is what it is. And I think that this is like a very good way to actually lay out your builds. Find items for your character that are good and cover certain weaknesses. So in my build, and I actually stole this from another build that I saw in the browser, it was for Pocket, and I thought that it was like a really smart way of actually laying things out. And that is these four categories, well, these three categories primarily. So I have plus damage, plus defense, plus utility. It's very easy for me to like think of what I need in a situation when it's laid out this way. Am I dying a lot and getting bursted? And is it by spirit damage? Okay, I know to get Spellbreaker, right? It's defense, right? If I'm feeling weak, I look for plus defense. If I'm feeling like I need certain tools to tackle a certain situation, I go utility. If they're not really doing much about me and I can just stomp, then I go damage, right? Typically I'm not going damage though, because these items are just really good, but if I'm facing like a Haze, Infernus, Wraith, I can go Suppressor. They shoot 30% slower. It's a very good item, and it's pretty much just a better extra spirit when those conditions are actually met. I have Mystic Slow for people that move around a lot. I have Knockdown for Vindictas, Phantom Strike for those same kinds of characters. Then I have my defense. So, and in like an average build, it would probably look something like this. So, let's say I'm taking a lot of gun damage, but not so much that I need to be super tanky and I still want to do a decent amount of damage. I can go escalating resilience because I'm doing like a hybrid kind of Victor build, so I can also get gun damage at the same time as my defense. And then let's say they have like a lot of gun carries, I can go suppressor and my build would look like this. Now these items shouldn't and don't have to come at the end of your build, but this is just an example of things to kind of look for when you're actually playing the game. But yeah, hopefully I could say that in a way that was understandable. Hopefully you guys could learn something from this. There's nothing wrong with playing the game and just having fun and building the same items every game and just, making your character be really strong when it works. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. This is mainly just as a way to try to improve your gameplay if you're looking to get better, because I know for me, just changing the way that I was building and not looking at my build as a static thing really escalated my like ability to actually perform well in the game. Not even by actually getting much better at the game itself, but just learning the items. There's a lot of people that will just go into every single game and buy the same items, but maybe this game there's a Lash and he keeps ulting you and you keep dying and you never go counterspell. Well, you're just feeding him kills, Um, so yeah, guys, get out there, look through the item shop. It's like pretty daunting, especially when you first start. But there are so many items in here that your build might not have that could be really good. Don't just go on the build browser and find a build that's the #1 most played OP build and think that it has every single thing you could ever want, because there's a good chance it won't. And you might find an item in the item shop that suits what you want to do with that build, with like the remains of the build, that actually allows you to have more fun and do better. And it might have not ever been in that build if you didn't put it there. So make sure to edit those builds that you find and tweak them to your needs and your liking, and just have fun. See you guys.